Welcome everyone. Today I'm sitting down with Lucas, and Lucas is part of our Academy program. We're so excited to be sitting down with him today and talk about his success throughout the program and his careers that he wants to pursue. And so Lucas is also the recipient of an entrance award from Dalhousie, and we're so excited for him. And we're also, the purpose of this interview is to really help future students coming into our program learn about the experience that you've had throughout the program and your success with scholarships so far. We definitely still have more along the way to go, which is very exciting. And Lucas is from Halifax, Nova Scotia. And so I'm really excited he's taken the time today to sit down with me. And Lucas, would you like to begin with just kind of talking about what you plan to do in post-secondary school or in career-wise?
Sure, yeah. So I've been accepted to Dalhousie University here in Halifax. I plan to study architecture and become an architect. Before that, however, they require you to take 2 years of some sort of kind of baccalaureate program. I'm going to be doing technical theater and hopefully use set design to apply into the architecture program here at Dal, which is another 4 years on top of the two.
Wow.
Um, Past that, I plan to my dream job is to become an Imagineer. They are the people who work for the Walt Disney Company, who design the attractions and resorts and restaurants, all for the different Disney parks around the world. That or like a theatrical set designer, somewhere along those creative design lines.
For sure. And I love it. I remember I think the first one or two webinars that we were on together, and you said what you wanted to do and become an Imagineer. And I thought that was just way too cool. That's such a great career path to pursue. I remember when I was in high school, I used to dance on the Disneyland stages in my grade 10 year. And just being in that environment, I think is just so fun and such a great way to pursue that creative side. So that's excellent. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Yes, thank you.
And so where were you at with the scholarship and university application process prior to grade 12?
So prior to grade 12, I was aware of kind of the community scholarships that existed in my school, different things with things my parents were affiliated with, things like that, kind of just in the Nova Scotia region. But it didn't take me till becoming a GrantMe scholar to where I became aware of all the national kind of scholarships.
For sure. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of students are at that point when they're about to start this process as well. They might be aware of some local community scholarships, but not really like the broader spectrum of what is available and what is out there. So that's great to hear because I think that a lot of students will be able to resemble with that. And how did you get to where you're at now? And what does that look like to have success with scholarships?
So right now for me, I really enjoy the writing process. I enjoy thinking about like the different topics I'm going to cover in my essays. I find that aspect pretty fun. And right now, I guess the successful part is having learned about what my initiatives are, what my actions are, and where my positions in leadership fall. And I think once you kind of figure out how to dissect that and really pull out the things scholarship kind of judges looking for, that's when you kind of get successful in writing, if that makes sense.
Totally. Yeah, no, exactly. And I think that a lot of students, before they go into this process might not think about, what do they need to write and emphasize in
Mhm.
their essays. And I think that, how you touched on, what is your impact? Like, what was your leadership role? What was the initiative? And I think like pulling that all together in your essay is really what the committee wants to see. They want to see your impact in the community. And I know that you've made a huge impact in your community with your roles. And it's really exciting to see, where you've come in your writing, because it's definitely so strong. And I'm really glad that you've enjoyed that process throughout this whole time.
Thank you. Yeah.
Awesome. And how has the program helped you specifically?
So for me specifically, I think the best part about the program is having a sort of structure. And what I mean by that is on your tracking sheet, you get kind of this list of scholarships that are coming up and they're categorized. And without GrantMe, I don't think I'd be able to pull that off on my own, or it definitely wouldn't look as pretty and colorful.
Yeah.
So to have that kind of list in front of me is like a great starting point. It's like, here's what's coming up, here's what you do, and then it's your job to take the action. And I feel like that was a great kind of like go to for any time I started working on scholarships.
That's awesome to hear. I love that because I think that, yeah, that you basically, when you go into your matching app, there are so many scholarships, but then we have that side sheet where you can kind of track
Mhm,
the ones that you really want to focus on and prioritize.
mhm.
And I'm really happy to hear that that tool has helped you throughout this process.
Yeah.
Great. And what would be your biggest advice to students who are about to start this whole scholarship university application process?
I think my biggest piece of advice would be, I mean, one, it's never too early to start. And I know sometimes windows don't really open until your grade 12 year, but what you can do prior to that is thinking about what's the difference between your leadership actions and initiatives that you've made. And once you kind of decipher those differences, you can start to list them because you're going to use that in almost every single one of your applications. I'd also say ask early for reference letters, those kind of basic necessities you need for almost everything.
For sure. Yes, definitely. I think that, the earlier you start, the better. And I think that's a great piece of advice because then you can prep everything in advance. And I love how you also mentioned distinguishing between, your initiator roles, your leadership roles, because that's really going to help you develop your impact along the way, and track your progress. And I think that, getting a head start on that and letting students in grade 11, grade 10 know that ahead of time, it's only going to set them up for success. So that's excellent. I think that's great advice. And especially with your references as well, collecting all the things that you need to collect prior to those applications.
Definitely, yeah.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me today, Lucas. I had a pleasure it was a pleasure speaking with you. And I think that a lot of students in grade 11, coming into this scholarship process are going to find a lot of value in the advice that you've given. And I'm really excited to see your success in the program.
Thank you very much for having me, and good luck to everybody else watching.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Lucas. Take care.